Well, hello and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that Montana fly fisherman and raconteur, that is Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone.
We are your hosts. Old People This Week is a podcast for people 60 and over. So if you're under 60, you're welcome to stay, or if not, show yourself the door. If you hang around, you'll learn something because we have a lot to offer you. This is a place where people of age can get together. It's a safe and healthy place. And we present stories that will make you sound smarter, especially as you head into the weekend and you're hanging out with your friends at the golf course, playing pickleball, at your quilting bee, or of course, where Mike and I hang out a lot at happy hour.
Happy hour. Shaken, not stirred, and no fruit.
No fruit, because it takes up room.
That's right. Otherwise occupied by gin.
I heard you say that to a waiter or waitress one time. She was stunned, and so was I. Of course, we need you to subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike will come to your house and mow your lawn. And you should check out our Substack at 52tasks.substack.com. Last week, we spoke about past relationships. And this week, we're evaluating our daily interactions. This podcast has now had over 10,000 cumulative views. So thanks you again. Please email us. We are here standing by ready to answer your questions. You can send us video. You can comment on us on what we wear or what Mike wears. Don't comment on what I wear. Mike get pissed.
Consistency. Consistency is the theme here.
Yes,
I own one dark turtleneck.
And we see it every week.
Every week.
Hey, well, breaking news. It's about 8:30 a.m. here on the West Coast, and I just learned, after receiving a lot of texts and phone calls, that Orenthal James Simpson, OJ, is dead. In 1994 and 95, I was a producer at E! Entertainment Television, and the president of E! was a woman named Fran Shea, and she was smart enough to take the trial gavel to gavel. And as it started to wind down in the fall of 95, she asked me if I could find another trial that we could do because of the ratings we garnered from doing the OJ trial. And a long story short that I will go into on next week's episode of Old People This Week. Out of it came the show E! True Hollywood Story that I created and executive produced. And of course, once I started True Hollywood Story, I knew I had to get OJ on the show because he and the trial and the murder was the catalyst for the creation of the program. It took me some time to get in touch with F. Lee Bailey. These are days that were pre-internet, pre-cell phone. But I dug him up. We had dinner at Dan Tana's in West Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I managed to persuade him to allow me to interview OJ. The picture here I'm showing is of that interview. It took place at Shutter's Hotel in Santa Monica on an afternoon in the fall of 1997. And what I remember of it specifically is I sat down, first I remember is how big he is. He had a head, I called it a cork. He had the biggest cork I've ever seen. He had a big head, big body. And he was affable, nice. But I was really, really prepared. I had a lot of questions for him. And I had read that he had said that during the time between when he got home from his daughter's recital and before the limo driver came to get him, and in between, somewhere between he and Cato going out to McDonald's and all that other stuff, that he had been on the front lawn hitting golf balls. And I said, so OJ, you said that during the time while you were waiting for the limo to come pick you up so you could fly to Chicago, you were chipping golf balls in your front yard. And he launched into an answer that was probably 5 to 7 minutes long, in which he didn't take a breath, and he went through the whole murder, and he said how he's innocent, how he didn't do it, and so on and so forth. And I stopped him and I said, okay, now let's go back to the beginning and start from square one. You said that you were in the front lawn chipping golf balls. And then I took him step by step through the entire day, back and forth, and finally got him to. He didn't open up to me about anything truthful, but at least got him to lay out in what in his mind was a clear timeline for what happened. Any rate, I have a lot of thoughts about OJ. I'm going to wait a week. On next Thursday, I will talk about it at length on Old People This Week and on this podcast. Uh, See you then. Bye. Let's get started. We have a lot of things to get to. The first one is I, of course, was scouring my AARP bulletin.
Attaboy. Is that print large enough?
Yeah, that's right. You know what? You're right, because psychologically, I didn't even think of that. They make the print big enough that a blind person could see it. But it's interesting, and they had another of series of they do a lot of articles every month about scams that are put upon older people like us. But two of them caught my eye. One was voice printing, in which a thief captures your voice and then uses a software program to generate a deep fake version that lets them impersonate you. So,
Oh,
so, so they catch you get on to what appears to you to be an innocuous conversation with somebody on the phone when it's a
yeah.
scammer. They record it and then they can manipulate it and use it to go buy yourself a new Cadillac or buy themselves a new Cadillac or something else that you don't want or don't know about. Or worse, these stories about where they somehow take possession of your home. They get themselves put on the title and you're out. But the reason I bring that up is because at the end of this portion of the article about voice printing, the writer said, pretty much in all caps, except that the days of phone conversations with anyone other than family or close friends are coming to an end. And Mike, have we not said that before?
Do not answer the phone. You don't
Yeah.
answer my calls.
No, I don't answer my wife's calls. I make her identify herself now when she calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's
I
that birthmark?
ask her questions only she would know. Because if you answer the phone, it's someone coming after your money. And I'm telling you, if you read these articles in here, they have many ways of doing that, of tricking you. But the second one that got me of beyond the voice printing was a scam that they called celebrity impersonation. So somebody pretending to be a celebrity or a celebrity's manager reaches out to you on Instagram or Facebook and says they want to talk to you and so on. So Mike, I know you're a big fan of Beyonce, but I'm going to tell you right now
She's
that
not calling me.
if someone reaches out to you on Facebook or Instagram and says that they are Beyonce or Beyonce's manager, or if it's Jay-Z or someone associated with Beyonce, and they say, Mike, we need to talk to you or we want to make contact with you,
Mm-hmm.
don't do it,
No,
because you'll
no.
find that after they're going to say something to the effect of, Mike, we're having money problems. Can you send us some money to help us out?
Yeah. Yeah. Beyonce's probably down to her last, 80 or 90 billion. So I'm probably not going to help.
No, it would probably be some D level
Yeah.
celebrity but they used just enough of an like the one example they used in the article was Celine Dion, because figuring that she's that kind of a person who might, for whatever reason, reach out to you. She's more homey, she's nicer,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and she's sick. She's got some terrible disease, and people probably would be very sympathetic and think, their $5 contribution might help.
Yeah, they aren't going to ask for $5, but what's wrong with her?
Well, I don't know. Some debilitating disease that basically has ended her career.
Oh, she's got some throat thing, right? She can't
Yeah,
sing.
some terrible thing.
Oh, that sucks. No more residencies for her. She's gonna have, well, she lost her husband too.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. Well, anyway, so don't accept I personally, I have to, I may give money if somebody from the Cleveland Browns were to get in touch with me.
You're such a soft touch. What you'll do for a team sweatshirt and a ball cap.
Yeah, if they offer me a ball cap, I give them $10,000. I hate it when younger people say that people our age or older are suckers for this stuff, because I say we're too smart for that. It wouldn't happen. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it does happen. It happens every day. So I have to just get my head around it.
Yeah, yesterday I had two notices on my phone. One was that my Sirius subscription had expired, and the other was one other application that I use on my phone, and neither of them had expired. And of course, they were asking to renew my contact information, and just total junk.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a letter from where is it? From First American Title Insurance Company. This that it is a real company, but it said the state of California requires us to notify you that your unclaimed property may be transferred to the state if you do not contact us immediately. And they said that they're holding $916.53 for me.
Uh,
So I did a deep dive on this thing, and it's a real company. And if there is money in arrears or money that has accrued and that the state has, you're supposed to go directly to the state, not
right.
through someone. But they were using this real company to try to get me to get in contact with them and start this process of learning everything about me.
Yeah.
And so I know we live in a world of scam city, and you cannot believe anybody on the phone.
Don't answer the phone.
Don't answer the phone.
You'll live a lonely existence, but you'll die with all your money.
Yeah, maybe, you know what, that's actually an interesting point, that some people may pick up the phone and may develop these relationships simply because they're lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that if no one else is talking to them, then maybe the scammer is the person that they don't mind giving money to.
Yeah.
That's what we should do, Mike. We should call up people and develop relationships with them just to get them to send us money.
We should do that for a month and see how much money we rake in.
Yeah, we wouldn't. You and I wouldn't rake in enough for a happy hour and gin and tonic.
I could get a new sweatshirt, maybe.
I've already ordered you one. March Madness has just passed us now. Monday was the national championship game, and UConn prevailed over Purdue. And I was in a pool with 19 other people, and guess who won? By the way, all the other 1,900 people were Gen Zs, Gen X, millennials, all young people except for my wife and I whipped their asses and won the $150.
Holy cow. Were your sons in it?
They were, and I've been bragging about it every day since.
That'll teach them.
That'll teach them. So putting that past. By the way, I told my oldest son I would I let him collect the money, and I told him to use the money to buy a drink for everyone else who was in the pool, because they're all friends of his down in Georgia. And I said, and just keep reminding them that the boomer beats you. Worth $190 just to say that. Speaking of boomer issues, I have these lines now in my forehead that they're so etched in there, they're so deep, and that I look like I'm constantly grimacing. And my wife is giving me this lotion and saying, rub it in. You look like you're mad all the time. I said, well,
yeah, I am.
There's nothing I can do about that, but maybe there's something I can do about these lines. The cartoid muscles here and then the lines here are the true sign of aging.
Is the cream helping?
It actually is a little bit. I don't know where she got it from. She might have got it from a Mexican dispensaria,
Yeah.
but it's working.
Be careful. It might be laced with fentanyl.
Yeah. Or some other weird medicine you can get online. I'm going to get to that, some of the weird medicine online here in a minute. Right. And a matter of fact, I'll segue right now. I'm 71 years old. but for almost 65 years of that, 71, I've never heard of moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. But suddenly, everybody's got moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, and companies are spending millions of dollars with advertising. I watch Hallmark. I watch the Hallmark movies, and they run nothing but wall to wall moderate to severe plaque psoriasis ads.
Well, that's their ad. That's their audience. It's like they invent a new physical condition or a disease or a malady of some sort every month. And then there's this onslaught of television advertising for drugs no one ever heard of that you're supposed to ask your doctor about.
Yeah.
Why isn't he telling you about it?
But is there that much of a business there? Does that many people, Americans, have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis that there's a business there? There
Well,
must be. They
there must
advertise.
be.
It's
Yeah,
just amazing.
they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising.
Whatever. I'm gonna start looking at people's elbows and the back of their necks to see if I meet somebody who's got this and ask them, how long they've had it. Is it that painful? Do they take some of these medicines for it? By the way, if you take the medicine, the side effects are worse than getting rid
Yeah,
of them. You
yeah,
could go
please.
to. It says you could have fainting, dizziness, feeling lightheaded, swelling of your face. By the way,
There we go. That'll get
that's
rid
the
of those
opposite.
lines in your forehead.
It'll also swell your lips, mouth, tongue, or throat, give you trouble breathing, chest tightness, skin rash, hives, itching, or even better, blood in your mucus, diarrhea, or burning when you urinate.
Oh, let me sign up for that right now.
I'll take psoriasis all over my elbows, but I don't want any burning when I urinate. No, well, all right.
Your wife would have questions about that.
Where you been hanging out?
Where
I'll
you
tell
been?
them.
Where you been,
Hang
buddy?
out. You, happy hour. So this next, I wanted to, I was just reading just before we recorded this thing. The guy who runs North Korea is Kim Jong Un. Kim Jong Un, and he's that fat guy with the bad Mo haircut from the guy in the Three Stooges haircut.
Yeah.
He's like more than just a dictator, ruler, king of all emperors there in North Korea. But they planned this training exercise in which they were gonna pretend that they were invading South Korea, and they were have tanks rolling in and had all kinds of guys parachuting out of airplanes, hundreds and hundreds of guys parachuting. Well, that morning it's too windy, and the officers are saying we can't have anybody jumping out of the plane because it's way too windy. But then they realized that Kim Jong Un was coming down for the exercise, and so they got scared. What happens in typical North Korean style? All these guys jump out of the airplane, all their parachutes tangle, and there's bodies raining down. Here's the dumbass statement of the week. This was a representative. I won't even say what party he's in because it doesn't matter what party this person was in. He suggested that most nursing home residents should not be voting because they only have 5 or 6 months to live.
What?
So basically, if he's saying that, for whatever reason, he doesn't want them voting, but he's saying they shouldn't vote because they're too old, basically, in essence, which I think is bull crap.
I'm struggling with the mentality of anyone who would say, don't let people in nursing homes vote. Where does that come from? I mean, what are they afraid of?
Well, later in the article, it said that he said that the children of these people were coming to him and saying, who voted for my 85-year-old father or mother? Meaning he's trying to say that there was some fraud involved.
Oh,
Meaning that people were going into these nursing homes, getting them to vote who they wanted them to vote for.
oh, I see.
So I would say if I got into a nursing home, I would try to convince some old person to vote for you for county supervisor.
It'd be a great vote, by the way. Things would improve dramatically.
Yeah, happy hours would go from 2 to 5. It would be extended now from 2 to 10.
That's right.
All right. Well, at any rate, this past Easter, on Easter Sunday, when I was getting up and having my eggs and trying to figure out a way to get out of going to church, uh, there was some poor fools were going to the office in the San Fernando Valley of this company called Garda World, and the Garda stands for guard, like you're a guard. They were going to the offices of Garda World to find that the $30 million that they had stashed there was missing.
Unbelievable. What a
It is
story.
unbelievable. Yeah.
It's
Well,
incredible.
it is incredible. Well, first of all, I didn't realize that there was holding places that held that much money. So they're not. It's not in banks, and it's not in. It's not at the businesses. The businesses, it gets brought to this place. In this case, out in the San Fernando Valley, outside Los Angeles. It's supposed to be a heavily guarded, locked down place, but they take in all this money from all these businesses, and it is stored there. And over that weekend, the thieves got in through the roof, got down in there, avoided all the alarms, and then they didn't go out through the roof. They blasted a hole in the side of the building and went out to the side.
But more importantly, they got into the safe once they got inside, which
Yeah.
is really interesting.
Yeah, I watched a news report about it on the local ABC affiliate, and they interviewed an FBI agent about it, and he just basically said it's an inside job. It's just
Yeah, you wonder if all the employees who didn't show up the next day.
who's now in Grenada or some other place where they can't extradite you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of scams, or you sent me this. This is it was titled "The Hotel Guest Who Wouldn't Leave."
This unbelievable story. I had to read it twice just to make sure.
What's different from the squatter stories that we've covered in the past, because where we've done them before, it was about people who have second homes or Airbnb homes, or just
Yeah,
they weren't living in homes they own, and some scurrilous person would move in there and refuse to leave.
yeah.
Or it was the story in Los Angeles again, where in Beverly Hills or somewhere, where these people were Airbnb-ing these mansions and then turning them into rave nightclubs, or even charging admissions and having strippers in there and the whole nine. This is a different story. This is a bit different.
When I first read it, because we had been talking about squatting, but man, this is a very sophisticated new twist on it. So
Yeah, it's very difficult to explain even. This guy named Mickey Barretto checked into the New Yorker hotel in 2018, and he checked into room 2565, paid $200 to stay that night, one night, and then cut to 5 years later in 2023, he was still there, and they finally got him out of there and arrested him. But how did he do it is really complex.
yeah,
Basically, he and his partner check in, and the partner somehow mentions that he'd read somewhere about an obscure law about that had been passed in New York in 1969 that would allow, it was to alleviate homelessness or alleviate a housing crunch they had back in 1969, where a person could go into a hotel and say to the management, I want to lease the room. And they could lease it for $88 a week, which in 1969 was sort of the going rate for how much it would have cost if you said 7 nights at whatever the rate was then.
yeah.
And then you could stay there, not indefinitely, but you could sign a lease or have some kind of lease put together, and you could stay there for $88 a week. Well, his partner says to this in passing, and Mickey gets all over the internet and figures it out, and he goes down the next day to the front desk and says, I want to get a lease and $88. And they said no, and they sent the bellhops up there, booted him out, threw his stuff out. He went down to where did he go? He went straight to the New York Housing Court in Lower Manhattan and sued the hotel. There was a hearing. The hotel didn't bother to send anybody, a lawyer or their management or anything. So the judge ruled in Mickey's favor, and he went back to the hotel and moved in. And basically, they spent the next 5 years trying to get him out. It gets way more complicated than that, because he actually used another obscure law, or used a version of that same obscure law to obtain a title
To the whole hotel.
to the whole hotel. So suddenly, this guy who's it was basically a transient who's squatting in the room starts claiming that he owns the hotel. Well,
Yeah.
the actual owners are the what is it? The church, the Unification Church. By the way, who's that? Reverend Moon. Remember Reverend Moon?
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to
Also
mail.
he's a Korean parachutist.
Yeah. Well, he was a Korean guy who started that religion, and he would marry 2,000 people at a time. These
Yep.
mass, and the people called the people who followed him were called Moonies.
Yeah.
Anyways, part of their real estate holdings was this hotel, and when they find out about it, they go to the management company, which was Wyndham, which is a big chain, and then they all have to go to court against the Mickey to get him out of there. So Mickey, however, didn't play this right because he got really crazy about it, and then he demanded money, and then he got weirder as each year went by, and they finally had enough of him. And they probably would have let him off and just treated this as being some kind of we don't want to talk about it, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Until he pissed them off enough that they arrested him, and now he's in jail, charged with 24 counts of various crimes, including 14 felony fraud counts. The irony is, he's sitting in jail, and guess what? He's not paying rent in jail.
Not paying rent. 3 meals a day.
That was the other thing. The other thing is that while he was in, one of the rules when Mickey claimed the right to be in the hotel was that they had to afford him all the amenities that the hotel had to offer. So room service, the gym, the whole thing.
Yeah.
He lived
Laundry
large.
service. Yeah.
He was not paying for anything, lived large for 5 years. So Mickey, was your last name again? Barreto. Congrats to you. I will follow the story and see how long you get
Yeah.
in the state pen, where you also will be living for free. This next story is one of that sort of is scary, but at the same time, I don't know, it's humorous, but it's really scary too. Is that it was titled "Ever Wish You Could Skip a Line at the Airport?"
No.
Well, I do wish I could skip the line sometimes in those pre-TSA checkpoint days when you'd be standing there in a long line with your bag, and then you're worried and you're looking at your watch because the plane's going to fly.
Yeah.
But I and 99.9% of human, Americans at least, are not going to try to jump the line, or not going to try to sneak around it. You're just going to follow the rules. But it turns out that 300 people in the past year, from March 2023 till now, have managed to slip by parts of TSA security checkpoints. And then in an understatement, this guy from the TSA says, it's a larger number than we realized.
Duh.
And this is an uptick, quite a bit of an uptick. There was just 29 airport security breaches in 2019. And then, and for example, and then in 72 in 2022. So it jumped from 72 in 2022 till 300 in March of 2023.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I wonder if that's tied to the the shortage of TSA personnel, because we keep hearing every once in a while about they need more money need a bigger budget for hiring and training and things like that.
Yeah, they are strapped, because when you think about it, there's someone there at a little counter on a stool checking your ID.
Yeah.
And running your ID through a machine there to see who you are. And then there's the TSA that work on where the baggage goes through. And then there might be someone on the other side who's supposed to do a wand check on you if they have to. And in
Yeah.
my case, because my knees, I have to be brought to a separate line and go through that thing where I have to stand up, and it goes back and forth in front of me. And then there's another person who has to go over there, and that has to be a male or a female, because they'll say male on there. So if somebody calls in sick, then somebody's doing two jobs. But the guy at the TSA said that the vast majority, this is in quotes, of the breaches did not seem to have evil intent. Most resulting from accidents, impatience, or people looking for misplaced items. So that means they've left the security area, they've forgotten something, so they go running back to find it where they're not supposed to. That's part of it. Of that 300 people, 200 were simply stupid enough to re-enter those one-way exits. Where when you walk out, you're not supposed to go back. And
Yeah,
so
but
people have done that where they've left
it
something on the plane or whatever.
yeah, if one person does it though, it's worrisome.
I was just at the Palm Springs airport, and it's so ill marked that tens of people carrying bags tried to enter by going through the exit because the exit it was just wasn't marked enough, and it was right next to the TSA line where you were supposed to go. Now they had a guy there who was just basically, no, you're entering the wrong way. TSA is over here.
Yeah,
But I also, while I was there, he left for a while. And people were just stumbling around, and someone else would yell to him, another person who was out there waiting for somebody to come out of the plane area, were saying, no, you enter over there.
yeah, and it's one hallway, both
Yeah,
the entryway and the exit
yeah,
are
it's
now
one area,
one narrow hallway. Yeah,
right? And it's only separated by one of those where those like you pull a piece of a line and you attach it to a
yeah,
little post, and that's all it is. Yeah, people were all stumbling all over there. Who knows? So anyway, so that was part of it, and then another 80 out of those 300. So 200 were just people entering the wrong way, and 80 of those people evaded travel document checkers. So they went around the guy who's sitting in the stool. But in all 80 of those cases, their bags and themselves eventually went through, or were wanted, or got
cleared.
checked.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but at least 20, which they didn't mention in the article,
yeah,
who were those? One flyer of those 20 bypassed ID checks and flew to Los Angeles without a ticket. And she was detained by the FBI upon her arrival, but not charged. So she didn't have evil intent. She just probably gambled or something and walked on the airplane somehow and just took a ride to LA.
yeah. I mean, how many how many checkpoints do you evade to get on an airplane with no ticket, though? That's troublesome.
Yeah, it is troublesome. Their job is tough, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize the TSA, seeing what they have to go through
Oh
all day.
no, hell no.
If you had to sit there all day and looking at these passengers, no, bring in the water, you can't do that, and then
Yeah,
no, sir, come this way. Oh, we got to check this bag. You're bringing in this, a gallon jug of toothpaste. What the hell is that about?
yeah,
All these people and all the things that they're trying to travel with, and you read about what they're trying to travel with. We did a piece where a guy opened up. He had, what do you have, pythons in his
yeah.
pants or something?
Pythons in his pants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the airplane, and people trying to smuggle in all kinds of stuff in their suitcases. So yeah, it's a terrible job. So but they are the line of defense. I did see at the airport they're coming up with some new way of checking you, in which you go in front of a scanner screen and they check your eyeballs or something.
they're prototyping it in Las Vegas,
So
and
what is it?
it's like you literally walk into a room, and it's a small room, but it's a full body scan. It allegedly, if they can prove it out as a concept, will allow you to self-check, to self-clear, and just walk through.
Yeah, yeah. I watched this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger set in the future, and he was going through, and how they do body scans. As you were walking through, you could see all the way down to the skeleton walking, and they were
Yeah,
going to be carrying anything on there. Of course, in his case, he was disguised as a woman, and the disguise started to melt as he was walking through there, and then got in trouble. Um, Our last story today. Well, I have to do an update because I promised to do an update on Lori and Charles and Ty Lee and J and Chad Daybell, the most despicable couple in the world, who were the Lori Vallow and Lori Daybell now and Chad Daybell, who murdered in this order, murdered her husband Charles, murdered their daughter Tylee, or her daughter Tylee, murdered her son JJ, and then murdered Tammy, who was Chad's wife.
wife.
all so that they could be together, and all in a way that they evaded arrest by pretending that the kids weren't with them, but they were with someone else. And the someone else finally called up and said, "I've been
Yeah.
lying. The kids aren't with me." And they're actually been with Lori and Chad. And it turns out that they were actually with Lori and her brother Alex in Yosemite, and they killed the daughter Tylee. And then unfortunately, they killed JJ. And then when they finally got their head together, the authorities they exhumed the body of Tammy, and they found out, oh no, she didn't die peacefully in her sleep. She was asphyxiated, and she had been restrained while
Strangled. Yeah. Yeah.
strangled by asphyxiated. And then they traced back Alex's phone, who was the brother of Lori, who shot Charles, the husband, earlier because in a what he said was and when Charles had violently attacked his sister, so he felt he had to kill him. Well, who knows? They've never investigated that one, but
Yeah.
Charles is gone. So they followed the pings on the phone of Alex. It went to Chad Daybell, who's the writer who writes the Doomsday article and who had lured Lori into his web, and they found the bodies back there. And this
Didn't they
goes back.
find the kids in like the pet cemetery behind the Daybell house or something? Really sick.
So Chad, who was by now the widower Chad, because he had asphyxiated his wife Tammy,
Yeah.
had in the big backyard. I'll show a picture of it. There was what he called a pet cemetery, and on the day that JJ went missing, he texted his wife and said, "Oh, I just shot a big raccoon in the backyard." He figured
Brother.
that was going to throw off the authorities if they went back and they would see this text and they say, there's no bodies back here. He was shot a raccoon. Well, fortunately, the cops didn't buy that, and they dug up the back and they found both bodies. So the most despicable couple in the world is Lori and Chad Daybell, who are now both, by the way, well, Chad's actually on trial. She was already sentenced for both murders and has sentenced to life without parole in an Idaho prison, which probably is not much fun.
Not much fun. Doesn't his trial start this week?
It already started.
It started.
It did. I believe it started last week. And he said he has a whole defense. And the reason they separated his trial from hers is that he has a whole, he didn't want to get sucked in. He's basically, he's basically going to blame it all on Lori and try to worm his way out of it.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Or they'll blame that Alex, who passed away. He was the other one who passed away. And he passed away, and they said it was of natural causes, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? The most despicable couple in America, other than well, I won't say who other than. The last story today is an airplane story, just to show you how life is not only tough for the TSA guys, but life for the people the stewards and the flight attendants rather, who work on a plane. A passenger has been fined for urinating in a cup during a delay in deplaning after landing at Sydney Airport in Australia.
I know that feeling.
Well, you have to go to the bathroom. You're dying to get out the plane. As a matter of fact, when I picked up my wife at the airport the other day, she texted me, I'll be out in a minute and I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But, I can depend that my wife is not going to urinate into a cup either while she's waiting. She would do anything other than that, by the way. So after it was a 3-hour flight from Auckland, this dude, there was a passenger in the same row as this cup peer. Her name was Holly. She said that her and her 15-year-old daughter were sitting in the aisle and middle seat when a man in the window seat, whose name was not released, started urinating in a cup. Mom,
that's why window seats suck. You can't get out to go to the bathroom.
I never sit in a window seat.
Never.
No, I am an aisle guy. It is up, Adam, out. My family will tell you. My kids will tell you they're relegated to the middle and aisle seats. My wife has never sat in an aisle seat because I won't let her, unless it's on the other aisle next to me here, where we can both be on an aisle.
Yeah.
But that if there's 3 seats and I'm with one of the kids, it's dad, me, aisle, mom, middle, child, window. And I don't want to hear about it.
You chauvinist, you.
No, it's not a chauvinist, other than just my absolute anxieties come to light and my desire that I have to be there to stretch, to get up and bolt if I have to. When I'm traveling alone, I could be in row 25, and as soon as that ding goes off, I'm up and I'm in front of the
Yeah.
first class people ready to get off. I do not like being on airplanes, and I don't want to extend it even longer than that. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do.
You're not going to carry a red Solo cup in your briefcase.
I'm not peeing in a cup. Someday I'll tell you about the time I got kicked off a plane. It's not for today's conversation, though it is a good story. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for being with us today. Remember to subscribe. You'll make our lives easier. And if you subscribe, Mike will come to the house and he will make a gin and tonic for you. Follow us on 52tasks.substack.com. You'll see the task for this week. It's a dandy one. It'll keep you busy. Email us, send us a video, send us your comments, your questions, send us a video. We'll air it. And have a good week. Mike and I wish all the best for you. And remember, there's nothing wrong with aging. You're better off for it.
You're better off.
Yeah, you're better off. We'll see you soon, Mike. Take care.
Okay. Take care. Adios.